Alright, we're live. 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, what's up? This is going to be an unboxing video. We got a Perrin Turbo Inlet. Let's check it out. Bam. Yo man, you want to hold this for me?
Sure.
Thanks man. That's my bro. Perrin Turbo Inlet. I also got the stock one. We'll do a comparison to the stock one. Alright, what do you get when this sucker comes in the mail? I bought this from Rally Sport Direct. You can get it from any of the big manufacturers. Alright, you get a license plate surround, advertising for Perrin. You get an instruction booklet, some hose clamps, another small hose clamp, and all the fittings. Basically all these fittings are going to go into the silicone intake so you can recreate all the fittings that you have on your stock OEM intake, turbo intake. So that's what all those are. And you got another hose clamp right here. You got a hose right here. What else? That's everything in there. And then you got the silicone intake. So this is a Perrin silicone intake. Actually, this is a separate little piece I already stuck in. A little plastic reinforcement tube that will go on the intake side like that. And then that will create a way for the hose clamp to cinch down on the silicone and create a tight seal. So here's a Perrin intake, right? Turbo intake. It'll sit like this. You have all your factory inlets. You use all these little barb fittings to connect all your factory hoses. This metal one is for the recirculation valve, if you got a blow-off valve or recirc valve. And that's pretty much it. So if you compare it to the intake of the stock OEM intake, let's do that, bam. Okay, I'll give you kind of a good idea of what we're looking at here. The first thing is, you'll notice, let's see, is that the Perrin one is a much wider inner diameter, and it's also a consistent inner diameter. The inner diameter stays the same throughout the whole length. So from here, it'll stay the same inner diameter until it shrinks, until it tightens slightly to go into the turbo. On this one, the factory one, it kind of constricts right here quite a bit. And when you do that sharp little turn of the air, you're definitely going to, create more turbulence and limit the total amount of air that flow through it. So this basically, the Perrin one will create a much better, wider and smoother path for the air, which means you end up passing more volume of air into your engine, into your turbo, and consequently into your engine. You'll make more boost. You'll have less resistance to air getting sucked into your turbo, essentially. Another thing I'll point out is that this Perrin one is really thick, heavy-duty silicone. It's not going to get compressed. I've actually read that some of the cheap eBay turbo inlets that are really, really soft, when they create a lot of negative pressure on this intake side, because when you actually have a turbo and it creates boost on the positive side, on the intake side it's actually creating negative pressure, so it can create that boost. And that negative pressure can actually collapse these cheap eBay turbo inlets. So these Perrin ones are really stiff and rigid. There's no way it's going to collapse. Another thing that's really good about replacing your stock intake turbo inlet is this rubber section up here. Now these stock ones are pretty hard. They're rigid all down here. It's got a little obstruction to the flow path right here to help for the installation. But then on this end, it's got rubber. As you can see, it's totally rubber on this side. And the rubber actually tends to rip. So right here, it's already started to rip on this one. And on the inside, you can see it's starting to rip right here. That's where the hose clamp goes over, where it connects onto the turbo, inlet of the turbo. But a real common thing to have happen is that there's a rip that gets created on this section right here. And when your turbo is creating a lot of boost and it's creating a lot of negative pressure, it's sucking a lot of air through this inlet. And if there's a little rip right here, it'll suck a little air through that rip. And that air is actually downstream of your mass airflow sensor. And if you suck any air in downstream of your mass airflow sensor, you're actually adding more air than your ECU is going to be aware of, and it's going to cause your engine to run lean. And when you run lean, you can run into pre-ignition and knock, and you can destroy your pistons and basically ruin an engine. So on Subarus, it's one of the Achilles heels of Subarus. The head gaskets obviously is the primary Achilles heel, I'd say, but another one is like on a turbo engine running into pre-ignition and running into detonation and destroying your ringlands and damaging your pistons. So this is one of those things. It's a safety precaution. If you can replace this sucker with something like this Perrin one that's totally durable and will never create a rip right there, you're never going to run into that lean condition that's caused by that. So you're eliminating one of the variables out there that can totally destroy a Subaru engine, especially in high boost conditions and more horsepower. So that's it. That's a turbo inlet from Perrin. Pretty nice piece. This will be going on the 2004 Subaru Forester XT, and I'll show you a tour of that car in another video. Thanks a lot.